Okay, this is chapter 46 of The Night Singer. 46. What was his family doing right now? Eric sipped his coffee. Avaka might be in the kitchen making brunch. Nyla and Yadu would be in front of the TV in the living room. His parents-in-law had both been up when he left for work this morning. Mumbai was 4.5 hours ahead of Sweden after all. But both Supriya and Nyla were still asleep. Nyla usually woke at 9 at the latest, but it was always a struggle to get Supriya out of bed on Saturdays. The thought of Avaka cooking dosas with coconut chutney made his stomach growl, and he silenced it with another sip of coffee. Eric glanced down at his phone screen. No messages from the family yet. He had kissed Supriya on the cheek this morning, both when he woke and when he got back from his run. She hadn't even stirred the first time, but on the second she had mumbled something inaudible and then rolled over. His laptop had gone into standby mode, and as Eric woke it, he realized he had just 24 minutes until the interview with Axel Stanston. Moving quickly, he logged out and gathered his things. He needed to speak to forensics before he went down to the cells to pick up Axel. Glancing over at Hannah, Eric saw her put down the phone with an odd look on her face. "What's up?" he asked. She met his eye, and her features seemed to reset. It felt like he had caught a glimpse of something she didn't want him to see. "I just spoke to Rebecca's husband," she said. "She got a call from a journalist asking about Axel. They know he's being held here." "Shit." "I know, and now she's refusing to talk to me." Her husband also saw Joel arguing with a man outside Sko J, the shopping center in Farston. "When?" "Thursday last week around 4:30. He said the man was in his 40s with short, light brown hair. He also seemed to think they had some kind of relationship, but Joel denied it when asked." "A 40-year-old? "I know. I need to speak to forensics about what they found on Axel Stanston before I interview him," said Eric. "I can ask them to search the CCTV footage from the shopping center, too." Hannah nodded and looked down at her keyboard. Eric wanted to say something. Supriya would be disappointed if he didn't bring Hannah home with him this evening, but if he didn't even ask her, she would be angry instead. The problem was that she had also told him to be tactful, and this didn't feel like the right moment. He walked away over to Melina's desk. She was hunched over in her chair, staring at the screen, listening to something that was making her bob her head. Noticing Eric, she pulled her earbuds out. The music spilling out of them sounded like it had been made by a 2-year-old playing with a synthesizer. "Derek May," she told him. "It's a techno classic." Melina was the same age as Daniel, but unlike him, she had the ability to make Eric feel ancient. He decided not to mention the music and instead explained what they were looking for from the CCTV, when and where and who would be in the shot. "Sure," said Melina. "I'll put someone on it. I have to keep looking into Axel Stanston." "Have you found anything yet?" "Afraid not." Her eyes didn't leave the screen for a second as she spoke. Eric could see a road softly illuminated by streetlights, nothing but darkness around it, with the occasional car passing through. "By the way, do you know how it's going with the threat someone sent to Hannah Dunker?" he asked. "Weren't you looking into it?" "Yeah, but I couldn't trace it. It came from a burner phone." Since he had inadvertently told Ove that Hannah was being harassed by someone making anonymous phone calls, he wanted to help her get to the bottom of it. But that wasn't the only reason. He had received a few threats of his own over the years, though they had always been directed at him as a police officer. This felt far more personal. He was sure it must be something to do with her father. "Have you tried calling the number?" he asked. Melina smirked. "Of course I have." Eric asked her for the number and tried calling it himself. When no one picked up, he sent a message instead. "I know you're hurting, but I'd really like to talk to you." He was just about to leave when a shout from Melina stopped in his tracks. She pointed at the car on the screen. "That's Axel Stanston's car crossing the Olin Bridge at 11:30 p.m. on Tuesday, May 14th.